All right, so I know that there's some confusion out there about how to use Excel or how to do certain little tweaks in Excel. And when you're using GIS or basically whenever whenever you're making a map, you're going to end up using Excel or a table like it. So what I decided to do is just show you some quick tips and tricks for those of you that are rusty at Excel or never really were introduced to it to begin with. I just want to show you how you can do some simple things, stealing data off the web so that you can join them to your shape files. So what I'm going to do first is open a new Excel workbook, and this version of Excel I'm using on a Mac. It might look a little bit different than the version you use in Windows. I think Windows has more ribbon style stuff, but don't worry about that. Basically, no matter what, you'll be able to find similar things in your Excel. So one of the main things you're going to be doing throughout your career is stealing or scraping data off the web. And there are many ways to do this. For example, I could go to Yahoo Finances here, look at my portfolio, and I can highlight data, right click, hit copy, and paste it into Excel. That's probably the easiest way to steal data. It wasn't always this easy. You couldn't always just paste it and it would figure out spacing, etc. But this is one of the simplest mechanisms. Now, one problem some of you are having in lab today, and it's not your fault, basically no one ever taught you this, is how do you create a header row? So when you join a shape file or join an Excel file or a CSV file to a shape file, you need to have a header row. The header row basically tells the GIS the name of the column, and that's how it can identify the data found within that column. To do this, all you have to do is click on the number or the letter. And this is something to remember. Selecting the numbers in Excel or selecting the letters is very different than selecting individual cells in those rows or columns. So here we're going to select the number, and notice it goes all the way across, all the way to pretty much infinity. It's selected when you click on the number one. Okay, I've got to get back now. Right click, hit insert, and when you do this with a row, it will insert a blank row above wherever you selected this. So we'll call this tickers, timestamp, number one, number two, number three. Now obviously I'm not going to be joining this table, it's stock data, but the point is there are a couple of key things I need to point out here. The headers should never have spaces in them, and they should be succinct, very short. Different GISs have basically alphanumeric limits on how long these headers can be. Keep them short, generally under 8 digits. Make them, no spaces. You can use camel case if you really can't read this that well. You can always do time and then capitalize stamp. That's one method of not using spaces. Either way, do that. Make sure that you don't have miscellaneous data like this down here when you're about to join it. Delete all extraneous data. Now let's say that you don't want all of this information. You don't want number 2 or number 1. Well, what you can do is you can right click over the column letter, not just selecting the rows. You can drag, whatnot, and you can right click again and hit delete. And I said right click the first time, you just click with the left mouse button, then right click to delete. So this is a way you can edit your data. Now, some people were also worried because suddenly their data gets all wonky looking or kind of funky looking and they're weird backgrounds, like a jaundice yellow, for example, and the numbers are red, and then suddenly you're typing more numbers down here, and it doesn't matter. Basically, ArcGIS doesn't give a crap or a hoot, sorry, about the formatting style of the cells that you're importing, so don't worry about that. One thing ArcGIS does worry about, however, I should still call this ticker, is whether or not certain things are the right format. So for example, you would want to make sure that any numbers you have are general or numbers. This time thing, this would probably be text. So you wouldn't want it to necessarily be general, but you could make it text. One tip I'll give you for anyone using census data, and you will use census data at some point, FIPS codes. It can't be general. By default, they're general and they look like numbers, and they can't even be numbers. They have to be text. So you won't be able to join a table using FIPS codes, which is the way you join census data to shapefiles, unless you convert that whole column, and let's just pretend these are FIPS codes, to text. So that's something you might just want to keep in the back of your mind. All right, this was pretty weird, just going through this quickly. I'm going to shut this one down, and in the next one I'll show you some other ways to import data into Excel besides just scraping it from the web with good old copy paste. Thanks for watching.